So now you get to general household items and vehicles, and I kind of equate this box with the expenses, where people get extremely caught up on the minutia, and you need some guidance with regards to how detailed you need to be.
Exactly. I have trouble with this section.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I don't have a sweeping statement, okay?
Okay.
But the statement would be, for any item of value under $1,000,
Yes.
okay, maybe even 500 if you wanted to be very accurate.
Yeah.
You should just include it in the household goods section over here and just say to be divided between the parties.
I see.
Okay, and that's it. You don't put a value here. It kind of is beside the point.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's beside the point is because we're looking at market value.
Right.
We're not looking at what's it called? Repurchase value. We are looking at, if you have a couch,
yeah,
we are looking at how much can you sell, like for the purpose of your net worth, we're looking at how much can you sell it on Kijiji. Right? We are not looking at how much does it cost to buy it.
Right.
And so most items have very little value on Kijiji, right?
Right.
So it's not even worth trying to detail it.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. Now, there are times where you are going to want to detail it, and it's usually related to when one party is keeping the house.
Yes.
Because when you sell a house,
yeah,
like all the contents have to leave.
Right.
So it's very like out of force, you're going to have to, you take this, I'll take this, right? But when one person is staying in the house, then invariably the person who is not staying in the house is going to feel a bit of unfairness.
Yes.
Okay, and you still don't need to necessarily put numbers here just yet. But what I would recommend is that if you think contents are going to be a problem in your situation, make a list on a different piece of paper.
Oh,
okay. And prioritize what you want out of the house. Forget about values for a minute. Okay, because we could deal with values. There are lots of different ways to deal with values, or even how to divide between parties, including flipping a coin and seeing, who goes first. Right? Okay. There are different ways if you care to do that. I like to think of what's really important to you. Make that list. What do you want out of the house? Because it might be that there's no dispute and that's just the end of it. That's the end of the whole issue. Okay. But then again, it comes back to, we're filling out this form. Do you put a value here? And so you can just put TBD. Okay. So we have now two acronyms here. NA, not applicable, and TBD, to be determined.
Okay.
And that's just the end, but at least there's a line item for it. Okay. The other time that the value of contents comes up is if somebody owned the house on the date of marriage and they believe that they have a lot of contents that they owned at that time, or there's another property, such as in our case, this investment property, if there was contents that you owned for it. And again, if you're going to try to do if you're going to try to put a number on it, which is fine because you're allowed to, try to make a list. Think of it as an insurance claim. How old was that couch on the date of marriage? So put that there, couch, 2 years old, estimated value, $200, and just make that list. It does not have to be on the form itself, the whole list. You refer to the list. Okay, so I can even do that like this. Contents in 4456 Main Street. Right, and then I would say see attached list. If you want to attach it, you can. And then you could put your number here. I'm just putting $4,000, right? And then that's how you can put a value to something.
So
Sure.
let's say we're talking about an item that's like not one of these like trivial little less than $1,000. Let's say that it's like a wedding gift that of course belongs to both of us, right? A wedding gift of, say, I don't know, a piano or something, and it's still worth, like, say, I don't know, $5,000, whatever. So for items like those, would it go on my financial disclosure and also my husband's financial disclosure, and I just say 50% like that? Is that how I fill it out?
That's an excellent question. So again, I mean, the short answer is yes.
Okay.
Okay, if you need to do that, because
Yeah.
even a piano, I consider, even though a piano is more than $1,000,
Yeah.
I personally still consider that contents to be
Content.
divided.
Interesting.
Right. So in other words, someone may say, "I'll keep the piano, you keep the TV," kind of,
Yeah. Right.
right? But the short answer to your question is yes, you would put 50%.
Right.
Okay. And again, even a piano needs to be expertly appraised. There are piano appraisers.
Right. I think I would. Right. Right.
Right, because you're not going to you're not going to saw the piano in half.
Right. Exactly. This is just it. Yeah. A lot of these valuables, I guess, these
Yeah.
property, it's one person takes it, the other person doesn't have it. Oh, which kind of leads me to this other question. So
Sure.
let's say that you had an agreement with your ex, and like you said, okay, yeah, you take the piano and I'll take the painting, whatever. Yeah. So so is it whoever gets to keep the item, that item goes into that person's financial disclosure? Is that how it works?
If there was an agreement beforehand, yes.
Yeah.
You know
Yes.
where this comes up. You know where this comes up. Again, for content, I would not put a value if you're just gonna divide things between
Oh,
the
I
two.
see what you mean. It's only if you're going to put a value that you would
But
fill out that
right,
formula.
but you know what? This actually kind of leads to the next line item here,
Yeah.
which is the cars,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about this.
Okay, so again, a car, you need to consider ownership and you need
Yes.
to consider value,
Yes.
right? And so let's say you're driving a car that's owned by the other party,
Mm-hmm.
but there is an understanding that this is your car. This is what everybody calls it,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know, like that car is your car and the other car is the other party's car,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And so in that circumstance, but if it's owned by the other party,
Yeah.
where it just happens to be in the name of the other party.
Yeah.
So what you can do is this follows. So first you want to set out the year, the make, the model,
Right.
and the trim, I think it's called. So let's say it's a 2016
Uh-huh.
Mazda.
Mm-hmm.
Help me here.
I don't know cars.
I was gonna say Odyssey, but I don't know how to spell it. Ford Focus. That's much easier. Okay, two-door GL,
Oh,
something
oh,
like
I
that.
see.
Okay,
A little bit of description. Okay.
a little bit of a description, yeah.
Right.
And then you could say not in my name.
Oh,
You
interesting.
could say that, but I will be keeping.
Oh, you can write stuff there. Okay.
You can write whatever you want,
Okay, well, I always forget that.
but keep it short, right?
Right. Okay, they only give
And then you could put the value here. So let's say it's worth
Oh, okay.
$8,000. Now, where are you going to get the value for a
Yeah.
car?
Yeah,
And the answer is, again, I'm going to just use
roughly the same. Yeah.
roughly the same. Now, it doesn't have to be. A lot of times people figure things out 2 or 3 years later.
Right.
The answer to this is what lawyers use. Okay, the short answer is that you need opinion evidence.
Right.
Technically, you would need a car to be appraised by a
Right.
car appraiser.
Right.
In Ontario, the the going rate for lawyers is that we rely on what's known as the Canadian Red Book and the Canadian Black Book.
Oh, okay.
It is possible, but not recommended to go on Auto Trader and
Oh.
see what your car is going for as of today.
Mm.
And the reason why it's not recommended is because people put what people put as their sale price often reflects the seller's
Right.
desire to sell, or
Right.
what. So it's not necessarily apples to apples to your car.
Right.
And you're more likely to get a fair estimate just using the red book or the black book. Okay, and I believe
Right.
there is an online version for the black book. You might have to pay for it, but that's how people do it. A little trick is that the red books are available through the public library, so you could just go to a
Oh,
library.
okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's actually a very cheap and effective way. Make sure you copy the front page
Okay.
that shows the date, because you want the date as a
Oh,
valuation date
wow.
or date
Okay.
of marriage,
Right. Right.
or today's date as well. And then you flip and then find your car and the year and all that, and then photocopy that. So they have 2 pages per valuation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so in this case, there was no car on date of marriage.
Right.
Fine.
Right.
Jewelry is a little bit of it's a sticky situation for 2 reasons.
Right.
So number one, jewelry also requires expert appraisal,
Right.
but the appraised value and the market value are not necessarily the same. Definitely the insured value is not the same as the market value. And a lot of jewelry is sentimental and
Mm-hmm.
not kept for value itself. Thirdly, some jewelry, most people's jewelry is limited to the jewelry that they have from the date of marriage.
Mm.
So now, very technically, there are 2 different values. There's a value on the date of marriage and the value on the date of separation. And let's say gold does
Oh, yeah.
change value,
Right.
right? Again, people get very caught up on this. The other big thing with jewelry is sometimes spouses give the other jewelry, and then they see on the financial statement that there's no reflection of it. I'm like, hey, that's not, where's the gratitude? I gave you this jewelry.
Right.
So I would again tell you to at least make a note of it. Okay. So even what many people do is, if they have, okay, there's 1,000, let's say it's a ring, it's not that going to have that much value.
Right.
They'll just offset the value for the 2 dates, even though that's not technically true.
Hmm.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
And I would suggest you be a little bit honest about it. Okay, a little bit. I can say that out loud, right? Just be a little bit honest about how much jewelry, like whether or not the date of marriage and the valuation date values truly offset each other. Okay, because if they do, nobody's going to really care.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
but if they don't, there will be a required that you're going to have to take some pictures of it. You're going to have to get them valued.
Right.
It is a little bit of a hassle. There's definitely a cost.
Oh.
And I think the starting point is, start with it today, see how much of that exists on valuation date, and then really think about how much of the valuation date is on the date of marriage.
Well, wait.
Okay.
Hang on. Shmuel, a question just popped into my head.
Sure.
Jewelry. Okay, so let's say I have a ruby ring that I bought for myself before I got married. I have to list that here?
Yes.
Oh, and then I put down at the column on date of marriage, and I put down if it was like $1,000 back
Right.
then.
And you can delineate it if you really care to. Ruby ring.
I see. Oh, wow. So even the
Actually,
stuff that you owned before you got married, you still have to list it because you have to disclose how much your assets grew during
right.
marriage. Oh,
Or lost. We could say.
Right. Okay, I see.
You can say.
Oh, I see.
Sold in 2015.
I see. Oh, wow.
Oh, right. So
Oh,
there's I'm just making a list here, but I could
yeah.
do wedding band,
Yeah. Wow.
both dates. Okay, something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
The other special, let's just go with last line here.
Yeah.
The other special items,
Mhm.
usually what fits under here, and like I'm not discussing every single vehicle, for example, but like skidoos, if you
Oh, I
right,
see.
would fit as a vehicle. A motorcycle would be a vehicle.
Oh,
Special items usually are tools of value.
oh,
Okay. Um,
interesting. Okay.
yeah, I've had some interesting cases about other special items, and if you scroll down here, it says other property, like it's a catch-all,
Oh,
right?
yeah, right.
I had a client once who raced pigeons,
Oh my God.
and the racing pigeons had value.
Oh,
We
wow.
put it in the lower one. We put it in the other
The
property.
other. Mm.
But usually under special items, you're looking at. I mean, if you had ski equipment that really had value, or even hockey equipment,
Interesting.
that would be on the jewelry box. If you see it says sports and hobby, but the other special items usually fall under either electronics
Mm.
or tools. And again, remember, think Kijiji here. We're not talking repurchasing it.
Right.
Okay.
And so, right. So like say my husband has a big gigantic tool chest, lots of expensive tools. He would put that in his Form 13, because he's going to
Correct.
be probably keeping it when we split up.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay.